The Dead Lucky, issue number 12 from Image Comics. So this is actually the last issue, which is funny. I didn't know that this was going to be the last issue until I was reading it, and I was like, wait, it seems like they're wrapping everything up. And then at the end, we get the end rather than to be continued. So yeah, this is the final issue. How does it do? Does it stick the landing? Does this series have anything to land on? The series has been terrible from the start, but yeah, we start off with Bibi talking about survivor's guilt, PTSD, all that stuff. I'll get more into that later on, but it's funny that she brings that up. But there's like a bunch of chaos going on. Basically, it's Bibi and people within Morrow that are still good, that are fighting the good fight. We're using Morrow robots against Morrow robots that are doing bad. So it's almost like a civil war between Morrow. And as this is going down, Bibi's talking to Pyre. And yeah, I don't know what the hell they're trying to do with Pyre. He keeps flip-flopping back and forth. He does more face heel turns than the Big Show. So I'm just going to be skipping that. But we get to a part where we have the CEO, the president of Morrow. He is in the mayor's office, the mayor of San Francisco. And he has killed one of the people, and he's basically talking about how, I had to change myself, like literally and physically, it looks like, and how he's going to make the city better by basically taking over it, how he plans on taking over a city within America and not have the rest of America stop him. I don't know. I don't think he thought that far ahead. I did like this funny little moment. Well, it's not a funny little moment, but I was kind of chuckling at it, where for some reason he just stops to pick up a pride flag and just kind of wave it in front of his face. And then the next panel, it's back on the desk. And then the next panel, he's waving in front of his face again. Why? I have no idea. Why is he waving this flag? I don't know how people are going to take the fact that this villain who's murdering people is pro pride. That doesn't sound like a good look for them. But I also thought it was like, come on, man. Like, you couldn't even have him just holding it in all three panels. Why does he have it up in his hand, then down on the desk, then up in his hand again? Like the continuity, it's literally three panels and you couldn't keep the continuity going for that. But also the fact that this is the mayor's office, that's the mayor's desk he's sitting at. And there's literally nothing on her desk but a small pride flag. There's no laptops, there's no newspapers, there's no files, paperwork, there's no phone. There is literally nothing on her desk but a flag. And now I know why San Francisco is in such a hole. Is because this mayor is literally doing nothing but sitting behind her desk with the flag, and that's it. And it's not like what the flag is. It's the fact that there's literally nothing else on her desk. So like she's not reading any newspapers to see what's going on with her city. She doesn't have any like files or anything like that from her people to see how people of San Francisco feel about her. There's no like laptop or cell phone so that she can communicate with other people. There's no laws or anything that she has to sign or go over. There's literally nothing on her desk. So it's no wonder that this city's in such a crap hole that they have to hire this other company to basically run it for them. And then basically we have Bibi, and she comes across, oh man, I don't even remember her name. Oh, Winston, that's right. Winston. And it turns out that Winston is the one that changed the robots to make them all go evil. But she's not doing it because she's working for Morrow. She's doing this basically as a false flag event. So she had the robots turn against the civilians so that people will look at Morrow in a negative light. But by doing that, you're attacking innocent civilians and getting them in danger and almost killing them unless Bibi's there to save them. So yeah, Bibi's like, I know what you're doing. I know why you're doing it, but this is not the way to do it. So shut down all the robots. We have a moment where Grace, who is Eddie's fiance, she's in the mayor's office as well. And she sneaks up behind the CEO of Morrow, Jimmy, and she's going to shoot him. But Bibi stops her from doing that. She's like, this is not what you want to do. Like, you're not a killer. And I'm just like, you know what? If I had someone that I loved, someone killed them, I am totally okay with taking revenge for that. I don't think that makes me a killer. Like, I don't know. I'm one of those people that like maybe that's why I always gravitated towards like the Punisher and stuff. I'm one of those people that like I don't believe in the whole murdering a murderer makes you a murderer. No, I just think that's justice. I think what you're doing is that whole like if you kill someone for murdering, you're not taking out a murderer. You're just replacing it with someone else, which is you. It's like, nah, I'm taking out a murderer because who says that I'm gonna go and keep murdering other people? So yeah, I'd be kind of pissed if I was Grace. It's like, man, this mother effer killed my lover, and now you're gonna stop me from getting my revenge? Screw you. But Bibi stops her from doing that, and then she does something with like I don't know her electric powers. Oh no, I think what she does is she stops Grace from doing that, and then Winston is messing with something on the internet because he needs to be like plugged into the Wi-Fi, and somehow when he's not plugged into the Wi-Fi, it causes him to explode. Yeah, I don't know how that makes any sense, but there you go. That's how he dies. He's not connected to the internet, so he blows up. Try to make sense of that if you can. um, and then we just have like more talk of like grief and PTSD and survivor's guilt and stuff. And here's what I'll say about that. This series absolutely sucks when it comes to portraying that. It sucks, which is kind of funny because in I think issue number 1 at the end there was like an interview with the writer, and the writer was talking about how her girlfriend suffers from survivor's guilt and PTSD. Like her girlfriend was in the army, and so BB is like based off of her. And like I don't know, I don't want to like get like personal with the tax or anything like that. I'll just say that in regards to BB, her portrayal of survivor's guilt with PTSD absolutely sucks. It's terrible. It reminds me very much of like other series where you have people like, oh, this character suffers from anxiety and panic disorders. And then I'm looking at it and I'm like, nah, they don't. I saw one where it was like someone suffers from agoraphobia, which is what I have. I literally have that. For anyone who's not familiar with that, if you've ever read Green Lanterns with Jessica Cruz, that's what she has. For anyone who hasn't read that, basically it's someone who can't deal with crowds, someone who can't really deal with feeling like they're stuck. So like being in traffic, being in an elevator, something like that, as well as leaving the house. Like I have trouble leaving the house. I've been a lot better at it. I've been like working on it and stuff. So I can get out of the house and do things, but it's tough. Like every time I do it, I have to basically like fight my anxiety. The reason I bring this up is because I see stuff where it's like someone has that, but then the very next scene is them at a party having fun and socializing and stuff, and I'm just like, yeah, that's not how that works. So that's what this reminds me of. It reminds me of you keep telling me this character has this thing, but you're not showing me this character having this thing. Not once do I ever get the feeling that BB is suffering from PTSD, survivor's guilt, anything like that, depression. Not once do I ever get that hint from her because she doesn't act that way. And I'm not saying she has to be acting that way 24/7, because there are times where like people are having their bad moments, and other times when people are having their good moments. But not once do I ever really see BB having like a bad moment. I use this example every single time for this series, but Ragman Rebirth deals with a character having PTSD and survivor's guilt after watching his platoon get killed. In fact, I feel like Dead Lucky kind of ripped off a lot of that series because, once again, in that series, Ragman gets his powers overseas, comes back, deals with survivor's guilt, PTSD, depression, all that, and then tries to learn his powers and use it for good. That's exactly what BB's doing, only we never really see BB suffering. Like, not once do I ever see her suffering with survivor's guilt. So this is very much a tell us, but never show us. They keep telling us she has it, but they never show us her having it. So, yeah. And then they just kind of really just like wrap things up, and how BB's like, she's going to keep fighting the good fight, yada, 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 whatever. Yeah, this was kind of lame. I thought the big showdown was like super quick. The whole thing with CEO Morrow, like, what were they trying to do? Like he shows up at the mayor's office, and he literally does nothing. He just sits there and he waves a pride flag until BB shows up and cuts off his Wi-Fi and he explodes. I don't know what his plan was going to be. So you were going to take over San Francisco and then just hope that the rest of the world wouldn't come and kick your ass? Morrow isn't anywhere else in the world but San Francisco, and you don't have enough robots to handle that. Yeah, I feel like this whole thing wasn't really all planned. I think this was canceled. I think this had just like terrible sales and it got canceled. I don't think it was supposed to stop at 12 issues. And the reason why is because it feels very much like a series that got axed. And so they just had to wrap everything up quickly. Like, I read a ton of manga, so I see this all the time where a manga series gets the axe and then they just try to wrap up the entire story as quickly as they can in one chapter. And that's what this feels like. Feels like they're trying to wrap up everything, but there's so many like weird plot holes and things just kind of left hanging, and everything just seems way too fast. That if this was the plan, if the entire series was going to just be 12 issues, then holy cow, was this poorly planned out because the flow was just terrible. So, yeah, the series is done. I feel bad for anyone that enjoyed it, but I'm glad I don't have to read this anymore. And then I know what you're thinking, like, well, if you didn't like it, then just don't read it. The only reason why I kept reading it was because it's part of the Massiveverse. And so I read everything from the Massiveverse. So like even No One, which I haven't really done a video on, I read that. Anything that has to deal with the Massiveverse, I'm reading it. Just because there are some things in the Massiveverse I like. I might not be the biggest fan of what they're doing with Radiant Black right now, but I still enjoy that series. I think Rogue Sun started off terrible, but it's getting better lately. Like I've enjoyed the last few issues. Inferno Girl Red, I think, was awesome. So I kind of want to just keep up in the know so that if they introduce anything from any other series, like I know, like, okay, that's what that means. That's, I'm not lost, basically. So I read everything from the Massiveverse series. And this is probably by far the worst thing. Well, I don't know. It might be a three-way tie between Radiant Red, Radiant Pink, and the Dead Lucky. But Dead Lucky is just garbage from start to end, in my opinion. There's not one good issue here. And it's kind of a shame because the premise is interesting. Like, I loved Ragman Rebirth. That was only like I think it was like a, 5-6 issue miniseries. But I love that. I wish it was longer. And so when you're doing like a similar premise, but with the more like tokusatsu kind of vibe, I'm down for that. But not once does this thing stick the landing. It's just absolutely garbage. Like they never really explain anything. They never explained her powers, like how she got them. Really, what's up with the purple goop? You introduced the purple goop and they never went anywhere with that. Who are the ghosts? Like she even says, like, well, if Pyre's still alive, then who's this ghost that looks like him? Well, we never answer that. So yeah, there's just a lot of things that are left unexplained. So whatever, it's done. There you go. There's Dead Lucky issue number 12. It was ass, just like the rest of this series. It sucked, and I'm hoping they don't bring it back. I know that sounds very mean, but well, here's the thing: if you're gonna bring it back with a different writer. I don't think the writer did a good job, and I'm not gonna like trash the writer. Maybe she's better with other stories, because there are times where like that happens. There's writers that like they can write a certain genre or a certain story, but then when you try to bring them onto something else, you're terrible. Sweeney, for example. Sweeney absolutely sucks when it comes to superhero stuff. But when it comes to occult things like John Constantine and Hack Slash and things like that, he's good. Maybe that's just what this is. Maybe the writer is just, this certain genre is just not the type of story that she can tell. And I mean, I'm a writer, for example, and that's my professional job. I'm a screenwriter. And I've written so many other types of genres, you name it: action, comedy, horror, slasher, even a kid's movie. The one thing I haven't written, and I probably never will, would be romance, because I just don't think I'll be good for that. But that's the thing, is like sometimes there are just certain types of stories you can't write, and maybe that's the case for this. Maybe this writer just can't write this kind of story, and she has to write other type of stories, and there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, this was just a terrible series all overall. Yeah, I'm not gonna say that the writer is garbage. I will just say that the writer was bad for this series. Maybe someone else could have done a better job. And maybe she could do a better job with some other kind of series, some other kind of genre. This just wasn't it. Yeah, I'm kind of rambling at this point, but there you go. There's a Dead Lucky. The end, the finale. It sucked, but what else was new? Anyways, hope you enjoyed. Hope to see you next time. Take care. Later. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, I still want to thank you for watching it this far, and I hope the next one is more to your liking. With that said, thank you once again, and I hope you guys and gals have a good one. Later.